Good evening. My name's Nicola White and I'm the Deputy Head Teacher here at Woodland School. And I just wanted to take the opportunity this evening to talk to you about our new home learning provision. Now, I hope already that you've received both a letter and a presentation from us talking to you about our proposal for home learning, which we're going to launch initially with Year 7 and Year 8. And I'm going to this evening talk through that presentation in a little bit more detail, but actually the main purpose of this evening is for parents to ask questions about the new provision. So please, as I'm presenting, feel free to write questions in the chat box and I will keep looking at the questions and try to answer them as I go through. So please excuse me if I'm looking down, it's just because I'm checking the chat box to see if any questions have come through. So as I said, you should have received a letter and a presentation detailing some changes we intend to make. As you are probably aware, most of our home learning at the moment is concentrated around tasomai and memory retrieval. So pupils complete their 3 daily buckets every day. And that's been hugely successful. And actually pupils' memory retrieval has increased significantly since we've introduced that measure. In addition to that, teachers are encouraged to set additional home learning pieces, which encourage pupils to apply what they've learned in their lessons. And actually, most of this proposal is about making that more consistent across the school. We've spoke with a range of different staff and a range of pupils across the school talking about the home learning provision, and we've taken on board their feedback when designing this. So really, to reiterate, the purpose of this is to ensure that the home learning set across the school is consistent, it's easy to understand, and it offers pupils a range of activities that helps develop skills successful not only for academic success here at Woodlands, but also for success in later life. So that's really the main aim of what we're trying to do here. And just briefly, I want to talk about why home learning is so important. Obviously, when we talk to pupils about home learning, we're not always greeted with a great amount of enthusiasm, but we do try to stress to them why it is so important. So firstly, the most obvious reason is it does have an impact on academic performance. And we've looked at an awful lot of research. We've looked at research from the Department of Education. The Department of Education actually did a study and they looked at Year 9 pupils, and they found that if a Year 9 pupil completes 2 hours on average of homework Monday to Friday, they were 10 times more likely to achieve good GCSE results than those who did not. Equally, the Education Endowment Foundation did another study, and they said if pupils complete their homework regularly, it can equate to additional 5 months of learning. So it really is important to ensure that pupils fulfil their potential and achieve the grades that they need to, that they engage in home learning. But more than just be about academic performance, it teaches them vital skills of independence and self-study. Often when pupils get to Year 11, they really struggle because they're preparing for their GCSE exams, and understandably they have to do revision for that. And they really struggle to organise their time and have the self-discipline in order to commit to that. So our hope is if we make the home learning provision more consistent, they will have those self-study skills, which means when they get to Year 10 and they get to Year 11, they're not overwhelmed by that. They've already practiced exercising those skills and they feel more comfortable organising their own time. So that's really important. It's also important, home learning is important to ensure that we've got a full curriculum provision. The government do advise that pupils do home learning. Obviously, we've got lots of lessons that they have in their timetabled curriculum in school, but it's important that we add to that and it's complemented with additional home learning activities. And finally, as you will know, our school's motto and our vision is about ARROW, so aspiration, resilience, opportunity and excellence. And home learning provides pupils the opportunity to embody all of those principles. Often it's aspirational, it creates resilience because sometimes it's tricky, and we encourage pupils to keep trying. Obviously, it offers lots of opportunities and ultimately results in excellence. So they're all the reasons that it's so important. And as I said, we've worked with staff and pupils on this, and we asked them about the home learning provision. And the kind of reason that we've come to wanting to review this is because some of our pupils said that they were getting additional home learning tasks set by their teachers, but there was often pinch points. So sometimes they'd find that they'd go home and they'd have kind of 5 home learning tasks set one day and then none the next day. And they were finding there were pinch points both in the week and within the term where they were getting too much or not enough. So it was important that we want to ensure that it's kind of consistent and their time is organised. There is no points where they feel particularly overwhelmed. Equally, we wanted to ensure that pupils get a varied diet of homework, so it wasn't always the same. It wasn't always you've got to revise, or it wasn't always you've got to design a poster or do some reading, but there was a mix of activities to exercise different higher order thinking skills. So we felt that was important. Some pupils complained that when home learning was set, the instructions were sometimes unclear, or they didn't realise the purpose of it, what they were gaining, what thinking skills they were developing as a result of it. And they felt it was important that they understood the purpose and the rationale for it, for them in order to understand why they were doing it. Completely makes sense. And again, I will go back to the most important reason is to make sure that actually expectations for working independently outside of school is built gradually. We know pupils do home learning in year 6 at primary school, and we want to build on that. So gradually the expectation increases across their time at Woodlands. So they are in that routine and in that habit of working independently at home, so they can do that revision for their GCSEs that come in year 11. I can see there are already some questions coming in. I will come to them. I'll just get through the proposal and then I'll come to them because it will make a little bit more sense when we get to that point. But do keep adding them, please, because we will obviously answer them later. So obviously TASMI will continue, so their pupils will continue to be expected to do that. And on average, we've looked at research on average how long that takes a pupil every day. And on average, it's about 20 minutes. So parents, if your children are coming home and telling you they're taking an hour and a half a day, that's probably not true. Or if it is, it's because they just guess and therefore it takes them longer to do it. So please encourage them to read those questions carefully. And as I said, it should be done within about 20 minutes. But as I said, this is to complement it. So we're going to set homework, then we're going to call them rapid progress home learning tasks. And rapid is kind of our acronym. So tasks will either be to revise or rehearse. So pupils will be asked to recall information or repeat skills that they've been taught. A is for apply, so pupils will be asked to apply their cumulative understanding to complex questions or multi-step or multi-skilled problems. P is for prepare, and that's more preparing for the lesson in advance. We've done quite a lot of research on flipped learning, so the idea that pupils come to the lesson with some knowledge already, which means that the time in lesson can be spent pushing for those higher order thinking skills. So you might get P for prepare. You've got I, which is improve. So that's improving a piece of work. So that might be you've been given feedback from your teacher and you're asked to go and improve or respond to response and challenge questions. And then finally, D is for design. So that was generally a creative piece of work. So that will be another form of home learning that will be set. Now, as I said, our proposal at the moment is that we will launch this with year 7 and 8 on Monday, so Monday the 10th of June. That will run till the end of the term and we'll get feedback from both pupils and from parents. And then the idea will be that we extend this across the school in September. As I said, I'm going to come on to some of these questions in a moment. So I'll just talk through about how much is going to be set and how that will work, and then I'll come and answer these questions. So in terms of how much home learning will be set, for year 7 and 8, as I said, we've gone away and looked at the research, and the Department of Education suggests between 2 or 3 hours a night. Now, we are well aware that some pupils should have other commitments outside of school. A lot of them we know are involved in extracurricular activities, and we encourage that. We think that's really, really healthy. So that's really, really important that they do that. But when we've looked at it, we feel that it's probably right that pupils spend, if they want to do it Monday to Friday, about an hour of homework a night, if they want to do it Monday to Friday. So what we've said across their curriculum is they would be set 10 pieces a week. And that's for one for each of their subjects. I'll get into the finer detail of that in a moment. But homework tasks cannot take any longer than half an hour. So as I said, if you wanted to divide that Monday to Friday and do 2 a night, up to a maximum of an hour a night. But often tasks would take less than that. Obviously, that doesn't include if they want to do it at the weekend, which they can do if they want. We've got the flexibility to do that. But it means every week there'll be 2 pieces of homework for maths, 1 for English, 1 for science, 1 for history, 1 for geography. NFL or languages will have 1 piece a week, which for year 8 will just be the language that they've selected. For year 7, it will be, because they do 2, they'll rotate. So one week it will be one language, the other week it will be the next language. Technology is made up of 3 subjects. So we do food, we do product design, and we do IT. So one of those will be set every week, and they'll be on a 3-week rotation. And that will be the same for creative arts, which will be art, music, and drama. So they'll be on a rotation. So they'll get one of those 3 subjects every week. And then finally, we have Arrow, we have CRE, which is our citizenship, religion, and ethics, and we have a wellbeing activity, and that will rotate again on a 3-week basis. The wellbeing activity, we spoke with pupils about this, and they asked for that. So every 3 weeks, we're going to have a wellbeing menu, and it's just different activities that support their wellbeing, and they get to choose from it. Again, it's absolutely their choice. There's like mindfulness colouring, there's some sporting activities they can do if they want to. I think there's 40 different things that they can choose to do. So that's how that will look. All home learning will be set on Satchel, as it is already, and it will be set in the same way. So it will say what part of rapid it refers to. So is it rehearse and revise? Is it apply? Is it prepare? Is it improve? Or is it design? And then it will give details on what the task is. We haven't given subjects specific days on which they need to set their homework, but we have said to all teachers is pupils have to be given at least 7 days to complete the homework. And what that means is, and I will talk about this a little bit more in a moment, is pupils actually have a little bit of flexibility with this. They get a full 7 days, but they can then design their own personalised home learning timetable according to other commitments they've got. So they've got ample time to be able to complete it, and also ample time to come and speak to staff if they are struggling with any of that home learning. And we feel like giving them those 7 days is important, as I said, because it puts some ownership on them to organise their time. And we've been providing quite a lot of, or if we haven't already had it this week, in tutor time, pupils have been given instructions to how to create their home learning timetable. So by the end of this week, every Year 7 and Year 8 pupil should, in tutor, have designed their personalised one. So it won't look the same as their friends, because it will take into account what clubs they do, what time they have dinner, I don't know, if they like to do gaming, when they do their gaming. So it will take into account all of those things. Right, I'm going to have a look at some of these questions. Quite a few have come in, so just bear with me. So music home learning, the music team, obviously it's quite hard with music because music's often is playing a lot of the instruments, and we appreciate that that's not always, depending if you've got instruments at home, that's not always easy. They are experimenting with a range of different things to do here. Some of it they're going to do perhaps theory based. There are also some things online that you can use, some apps that you can use that are online that are free of charge. So they are experimenting with that at the moment, because we do appreciate that not all pupils have instruments at home, but they are looking at something that's still meaningful and that does allow music to form part of that home learning provision. Will the home learning be on what we learn in class? Yeah, it's the only instance in which it won't be on something that you've already studied is if it's under the prepare thing, because the point of that is that you're kind of researching something that you haven't learned yet, and then when you get to the lesson, your understanding that you've acquired in home learning will be built upon. So it allows your teachers to really push your thinking because you've already got that basic understanding. So your teachers will push your thinking and encourage that real deeper understanding. So that would be the only instance in which it wasn't on anything that you were learning about. Do school plan to encourage handwriting skills? Now kids just type and don't know how to hold a pen or read cursive. It's interesting at the moment. On the curriculum, there isn't a specific thing for handwriting, but we do obviously encourage handwriting, and we do have handwriting clubs here. So if handwriting is a concern, that's certainly something that we can support with. I know handwriting is a focus more at Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2, but obviously if that is a concern, I do encourage every parents to contact us because we can make provisions for that. How will this work with children with educational needs? Well, obviously our teachers are aware of the learning passports that pupils have. Home learning won't be blanket necessarily, and teachers have been told to ensure that it's scaffolded correctly for different pupils, so it should be accessible for all pupils. And that's why we want to give teachers some flexibility, because they need to make sure that that task is tailored to the needs of their class, and then additional support is provided to individuals if required. Aspirations will be supporting with this, so there will be support from Aspirations to help with pupils in completing that home learning. But we do feel that even pupils with educational needs, obviously they will go on and do their GCSEs like all the other pupils. So we do want to make sure they are equipped with the necessary skills to enable them to be successful when they get to GCSE. So we do appreciate some pupils may struggle with this, but we want to provide the support to ensure that they're able to overcome those struggles and that they can be successful. Just not sure. The TASMI, that's unfortunate. If the pupil is just guessing, that is incorrect. And we obviously, there's only so much we can combat that. We do tell pupils all the time, and we've worked with TASMI so that there is a time delay, so it stops them. We also worked with TASMI to ensure that actually they are deducted points if they keep guessing. But as you will appreciate, there's only so many kind of caveats we can put in. If pupils are going to continue to do that, that's on them. And actually, it does take them longer than if they read the question. I know this because I work with a lot of the pupils who struggle with TASMI, and I sit there and I do it with them. And I've proven to them, if they read the question, they actually get that done much quicker. So it is a learning opportunity. But again, the pupils have got the opportunity to do it. They need to try to make the most of that. So that's the issue with that. Sparks will continue if maths choose to set that. I think maths probably will continue to set a lot of sparks, but they may mix it up and provide a bit of a variety as well. But the sparks would count as the maths homework. So it won't be maths and sparks, it will form part of that. Won't the children get overwhelmed by the extra homework? Possibly initially, but we've gone to lots of other schools. Lots of other schools set a lot more home learning than we do. And actually, as a staff body, we reflected on that, and we don't want to disadvantage our pupils. Ultimately, when it comes to GCSE, pupils are in competition with pupils at all other schools. And it didn't sit with us morally that we weren't giving our pupils the same opportunities with regards to home learning as other schools offered, which is why, and we are aware that obviously this is going to be a bit different, and they're going to have to get used to it, which is why we've invested time this week in talking through how you plan your time. Obviously, with year 7 and 8, it is only an hour extra a night. If you want to do it Monday to Friday, you might not want to do that like that. So it isn't, whilst it is more than they've done already, it isn't unmanageable at all. They've just got to get used to the change with that. Will there be an after-school homework club as well as lunchtime support when pupils are out of date with knowledge? Yeah, we are looking to provide areas where they can go to support with home learning. Our staff are remarkably supportive though, and we would always say if pupils are struggling, there's two things. If they're struggling to find an area to complete their homework, we can provide areas where they can complete their homework. If it's a case of they need subject specific support from their teacher, we always encourage them to go and find their teacher or email their teacher and say, look, I need a little bit more help with this. What can I do? And our teachers are very good here at going above and beyond and giving extra time. They will always want to support a child who wants to learn. So we will, of course, make sure, and we appreciate that parents aren't subject specialists. We are the subject specialists, and we want to provide that support to ensure that the pupils can achieve. So we will have support in place for that. Will they get paper sheets with homework on? You mentioned it'll be on Satchel, but we often cannot open the files. That will depend very much on what the subjects are. I do suggest if that is an ongoing issue with Satchel and you find that regularly, I don't know if that's within perhaps a certain subject or if it's across the board, please, if that is a problem, email me. I'll give you my email address at the end and we'll look into that, because we do appreciate sometimes they put it on Satchel 1 because people tend to lose the sheets. But if there's a technical error there, let us know and we'll see if we can help you with that. Because I think, as I said, some might give paper, some might just put it on Satchel. But if Satchel is the problem, please let us know and we'll try and help that. What about the children doing the purple pathway? Then there would be a lot of unnecessary information. So the purple pathway, obviously we're only in a consultation path, we're only in a trial period as it currently stands. Long term, obviously they would only be set the subjects that they learn. So for some of those subjects, if they're not in, for instance, both of their languages, they're not going to get homework for both of their languages. So it will be tailored specifically to their pathway. We wouldn't make pupils do home learning for stuff that they don't need, because we want it to be purposeful. Very often subjects haven't been covered in school and some questions are presented incorrectly. What's the best way to feed this back? Okay, so in terms of the subjects haven't been covered, there is an element of that where how TASMI is supposed to work, because TASMI is supposed to present unseen content to pupils as part of this flipped learning thing. So not all of the content by any means, but there should be some questions they haven't seen yet. And the idea is initially they do get it wrong. They have to look at the answer, and then by the next time they've seen it, they then know the answer. And actually that's worked. I know our language staff often say that pupils come having known vocab that they've learned through TASMI, which allows our teachers time in lessons, as I said, to stretch their thinking. With regards to TASMI, we are reviewing our TASMI provision at the moment. I don't know parents of pupils in the young years, I don't know if you know this, but we worked with TASMI during lockdown on designing thousands of questions, and there have been some curriculum changes since. So I'm actually meeting middle leaders in the next couple of weeks, and we're reviewing the provision, to check it's all appropriate to the curriculum. So there may be some questions that come up that the pupils haven't learned yet, but they should still be taught that at some point in their curriculum. If there are errors, because as I said, thousands and thousands of questions were written, so there may be a few that are incorrect, there should be a little flag button on the TASMI. If you click the flag button and say what's wrong with the question, we get that fed to us. And actually that's really useful information to our middle leaders, who are reviewing that provision and correcting the questions as we speak. So as I said, there should be some that they don't know yet because it's part of flipped learning. And actually I think TASMI said the accuracy rate should be about 60%. That's normal because that means they're being given the right mix of stuff that they've been taught and they're mastering and new material. But having said that, if your pupils are receiving content which seems vastly wrong, please flag it, or if the questions are incorrect, please flag it. How do you determine how long the homework takes? Have you considered that all children work at the speed you're expecting this is going to have a huge impact? Of course. Now, obviously, teachers, they will have a look at the task and they will estimate that it takes about 30 minutes. And we welcome feedback from parents. So if your child is struggling with homework and you know that they've generally invested the 30 minutes in it and it's taking too long, feedback that back to the subject teacher. And then we'll look at the task that we set moving forward. Our key here at the moment is getting pupils into the habit of working independently at home and getting themselves a routine. But we want them to feel like they're being successful at it as well. So please feel free to email teachers if you think they've genuinely tried and it's taken too long or they're struggling. Give that feedback to the teacher, and that will obviously then mean that we'll adapt what tasks that are set moving forward. So they get through, there's no time left for homework club. Yeah, as I said, which is why obviously we do have a shorter lunch, and I appreciate that they need to get lunch, which is like food, which is absolutely fine. We will obviously offer that homework club after school, but that's why, as I said, if they need other help, email the teacher and they can arrange a time to come and find them. That support is there if they need it. Find what they are. So most of the tasks, I mean, when we're talking about stress by task, which are beyond what they studied, the only instance of that really is either preparing, so that might be to research a topic that's coming up, and the purpose of that would be more to just get the basic understanding, and that's something that will be built on in lesson. So if there are misconceptions from that, they will be challenged in lesson. Or if it's TASMI and they're giving the flipped learning, so they're exposing pupils to content that they've not understood. But as I said, the algorithm works behind that, so the balance is correct. They shouldn't be getting all content that they've not been tested on before. If people don't complete the 10 pieces a week due to crime constraints, what, if any, will the consequences be? Well, if they don't complete as it currently stands, if they don't complete their homework on time, they will be sanctioned in the normal way. So they'll get a sanction, which will be it'll be a 30-minute sanction, but all staff are told that if the pupils bring their home learning within 24 hours of when it was due, the detention will be cancelled. So we are offering pupils a leeway. They're given 7 days anyway. And then, as I said, if they don't get it handed in on time, they get another 24 hours leeway, and then the detention will be cancelled. We did a lot of discussion about this, about if, say it's due in on a Monday and the pupil hasn't brought it, do we set the detention straight away? And what we decided is this detention will go on satchel with a note to say, if the homework is completed within 24 hours, the detention will be cancelled. And the reason we decided that is we thought as parents, we wanted to inform you that they'd missed the deadline, but also inform you that we're giving them the opportunity to complete it before the detention. So you're aware that perhaps they need to come home and do that. Obviously, if there are exceptional circumstances, then a parent can email the head of year and say, for whatever reason, they haven't been able to do it. But I've gone through timetables today, with home learning timetables today with pupils. And if you were looking at just doing your homework Monday to Friday, we've divided the evening from 4:30 till 8:30 into half an hour slots. There are 40 slots and the home learning takes 10. So that still leaves them 30 other slots that they can do whatever they want in. If they're going to be on Satchel or TASMI, where can we find it? It will be separate from the 3. No, so TASMI will just remain as it is. The additional will all be on Satchel. So TASMI continues as it is. Nothing changes to TASMI. That carries on. The additional is just on Satchel. Set the homework in a fun. Yeah, so someone said in doing it on paper, can your teacher set the homework in a fun way, like doing a quiz game? Teachers would be given the option. That would obviously come under recall, revise or rehearse. We had that with Tassamy. That is a kind of quizzing, but staff are going to look at, and that's why we said we wanted a variety of tasks. Obviously, we want to find the right mix. So some of that might be quizzing. Pupils have said they quite like the idea of doing creative tasks, like the design tasks, so we'll have some of that. But obviously you'll appreciate as well, we want to consolidate some of those important skills they need for the subject. So some of it might be written tasks, but the idea is that they get a balance. It's not the same all of the time. Will the file on Satchel be able to be edited and saved, I suppose, on the way Sparks is now, where they use their own book? I think that will very much depend on the different subjects and what they're setting them. So with regards to Satchel, you can download documents and then they can re-upload it once they've filled it in. That function is there. If I'm being honest with you, it's something we're going to explore with our staff moving forward. This is just the trial period. So that's definitely something we'll look into, because we want to make it as accessible as possible to our pupils. So I have a 13 coming up, and if I pass again, so can our teacher set a quiz game? I'm not quite, we spoke about the quiz game. If they are off with sickness on a day, will the homework still be required for that day? I think with that, that's a difficult one. And I think what I would suggest they do is speak to the teacher. What we don't want them to do is miss out on important learning. So what we are looking at a policy for pupils when they miss, when the home learning's been set. It might be the case that when they've spoken to the teacher, because the likelihood is they'll see them again before the homework is set, that the teacher might instead say, rather than do that, catch up on what you've missed, because we don't want them to have gaps in knowledge. But they won't be sanctioned necessarily, but we would ask them to try to catch up so they haven't got those gaps in knowledge. Is it going to be online home? Some of it will be online. It might be different things. So it depends on the subjects. It depends what they're setting. As I said, we've opened it up to the teachers in sense that providing it falls under rapid, so it's either revise or rehearse, apply, prepare, improve or design. We don't mind what format that might be. Some of that might be online stuff and some of it might be paper stuff, depending on the subject. Will sanction be from day one, or allowance be made for them to adjust? Well, as I said, they've got the first week, so their homework will start being set on the Monday. I predict that as of the first Monday, some staff will start setting the homework on Monday to be in the following Monday. Again, if they've not managed to do it, they will be set a sanction for the Tuesday, if that's the earliest next slot. But if they bring it before, that will be cancelled. So there is still quite a lot of leeway in here. We appreciate it's going to get a time for them to organise themselves. We did tell them about this a good 3-4 weeks ago, so they know it's been coming. But as I said, they've got that 24-hour limit. We appreciate sometimes pupils leave it at home. That happens, which is why we want to give them that 24 hours so they still get that opportunity to do it. What we don't want to do is that homework's not done and then they're falling behind with their learning. And that actually, long term, causes much more stress. My daughter hasn't had access to a Satchel since she got in school. Oh, I will assist with that. If you ask her to come and find me tomorrow at lunchtime, I'll be in the humanities corridor. I can fix that problem. Well, as I said, that's what we offer as a school. We don't want to, so someone's asking about it might impact family life or time. Unfortunately, the expectation is from the Department of Education that pupils do home learning. It supports them with their education. It helps them get the best grades possible, which opens them up to a range of different job opportunities later on. We are disadvantaging them by not setting them up to do that and putting them against pupils who are doing that. That means already going into their GCSE results, they are behind. And as I said, I hate to be blunt about it, but they are in competition with those pupils for those grades. We here are about ensuring that we give them the best educational opportunities possible. And that is what we stand for. We agree with family time. We want them to do extracurricular activities. We want them to engage in other hobbies. And having looked at it, there's plenty of opportunities for them to be doing that. But we need to develop these independent study skills. Otherwise, they're going to get to the GCSEs and they're going to be overwhelmed. Is the wellbeing homework mandatory? What we're saying with the wellbeing homework, there isn't going to be a sanction for that. But what we're going to do is, if they can bring evidence of them completing it, we're going to give them e-praise points for that, because we appreciate the point of wellbeing is that it supports their wellbeing. So we don't want that to cause them stress. So obviously, if they complete that activity, bring it in and show us evidence, we will be given them e-praise points in that. How does it compare to other schools in terms of the amount of homework? Honestly, it's still significantly less. A lot of other schools that we've spoken about, as I said, the Department of Education recommends between 2 or 3 hours a night. So actually that is significantly less than most other schools. But we obviously don't want to stretch that because we know our pupils might not be in the habits of doing that. We are aware that primary schools are also setting, for some, having spoken to colleagues at other schools, they are doing homework as well. And we certainly don't want to regress. If those pupils are getting into the habit of doing homework, then we don't want to go backwards on that. We want to ensure that we build on that. So actually, in comparison to other schools, this is still less than most other schools, which is why the expectation is if we can get them to do, say, an hour a night, if they want to do it Monday to Friday, then by the time they get to year 10 and 11, the expectation will go up, but that's just to prepare them for their GCSEs. Will all subject homework be given all together? I don't know. Do you mean? I don't know what you mean by that. Do you mean all subjects set on the same day, or do you mean like maths have got 2 pieces? Will they both set that at the same time? If it's all on the same day, no, subjects won't all set them on the same day. They'll probably set them at different points throughout the week. But again, you get 7 days. You get 7 days to complete it. So there's ample time to be able to do that, but also the flexibility to suit your commitments. In terms of, are they setting it all together? Well, the only subject at the moment that's got more than 1 piece is maths. So they've got 2 30-minute pieces a week. They may decide to set 1 hour piece across the week instead. So they may do that. Keep putting your questions in the chat box if you have got any questions. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. We don't want to disadvantage our pupils. When we started with Tassamai, that was starting them to get into the habit of doing something outside of school, and we now want to build on that. We certainly don't want to put pupils in exam at a disadvantage to other pupils at other schools, but we do appreciate that we want to build that gradually, particularly in year 7 and 8. So we just want to get them into the habit of doing it. And then obviously, as I said, by the time they get to the GCSE, they'll know that they've got to revise and they'll have those independent study skills to allow them to do that. So I think the questions are beginning to come to an end. Please continue to put them in there. Yeah, thank you. That's what we're really hoping to do. Homework is in place. Yeah, it's just a new format. And actually, this is what we're trying to say here. I think home learning should be set, but we're trying to make this more formalised, and we're trying to make that's the expectation. If you come to Woodlands, you do your homework, and we expect to challenge you. You do Tassamai, sorry, and we expect to challenge you and challenge your thinking in other home learning activities as well. I do think it's important, and I know I keep stressing it, about pupils learning to organise their own time and organise their commitments, because that is a skill that you need later on in life, and I'm sure parents out there know the importance of that skill. So that is a skill that will support them not just with their academic performance but also in later life. So I appreciate that comment. As I said, continue to put that. Can maths be set on a Monday? Yeah, maths could be set on a Monday. Okay, so where it says, can I find a list of teachers' emails if our children are required to contact them? So if you look at their timetables, so on Satchel, you will see their timetables, and it should give you the teacher's name. All of our email addresses, the end part is the same. So it's at woodlandschool.essex.sch.uk. I will ask someone to type that email address into the chat box. If we can type the Woodlands School email address into the chat box, that'd be much appreciated. So that's the end. And then the first is just the staff initials code, which should show on Satchel. So just feel free to email them should you require it. Yeah, so home learning will be set on the Satchel on the home learning tab, and you will get a notification via Satchel about what homework's been set and when it's due in. Yeah, as I said, please do, particularly as this is a trial, if you do feel that the home learning that's been set isn't set to the ability of your child, please let us know. It is a trial, it is a consultation period. We want to make sure it works. What we really want to do is you want pupils to see the benefit of doing it. They see what impact it's having on them, so they buy in. And we really appreciate parental support in it. So if you have got concerns around it, please let us know, because we want to work with you to ensure we're providing the correct educational opportunities to our pupils so that they can be successful. Or still the one about, is it set, so can it be set on a Monday and English can be set on a Tuesday? I don't know if this is more about, is there a set timetable? No, there isn't a set timetable. The reason being, when we've spoken to schools who have got set timetables, is sometimes it doesn't correlate with what's going on in the lesson. So if it is, we say, right, English has got to set it on a Tuesday, but actually in the lesson on Tuesday, they didn't get far enough for that homework to be appropriate, then that becomes pointless and then they miss their homework slot. So we've kind of moved away from that and more that you get 7 days notice. So it's never going to be during the next day, which offers that flexibility, but it also means it's appropriate and it's relevant to what's being studied in the lesson. Only shows the surnames. Okay, if it only shows the surnames, we can generally, I'm trying to think of another way of doing that. Does it say like Miss N. White? I think it says Miss N. White, because generally the surname codes are the first letter of the first name and then the first 2 letters of the surname. However, if that's too difficult, what I suggest you do is email. What is on our website are the email addresses of our heads of faculty. So at worst case situation, email the head of faculty and they will then direct it to the relevant teacher within their department. So if that isn't accessible on Satchel, and I know we've had a few changes because we've changed our management information, our MIS this week. So if that's not now available on Satchel, just email the head of faculty first and they will direct it to the right teacher. And those email addresses are available on the website. Will pupils get support in the run-up to tests as part of this? Yeah, so will pupils get support in the run-up to the test? Well, yeah, they will. A lot of the time, I suspect that in the run-up to tests, it will be revised. And what we're going to try to do next year is we're going to try to teach pupils revision skills and encourage them in tutor to practice some of those revision skills, because we are aware that pupils struggle to revise. So what we want to do is expose them to a different toolbox of strategies for revision so they can find the one that works best for them. And that's something we do build through the school. As pupils get to year 9, 10 and 11, we do a lot more of revision on that anyway now, but we want to bring that out lower down the school. So they will have the opportunity to practice that in tutor, and then subject teachers before assessments will probably set revise as homework and will encourage them to use one of those strategies to revise. We do appreciate that's a hard one for parents. We always get people say we don't know how to revise, and parents say we don't know how to support them with revision. So we're going to, as I said, we're going to expose them to different strategies. We're going to get them to try them in tutor with different subjects, and then hopefully they'll be able to apply them in across their subjects. We're looking to put some things on the website to help parents with revision and encouraging their pupils to revise. Do you know the time frame that pupils can obtain their laptops? I don't know. I don't know if that's referring to a year 7 pupil. That one might be worth, if you email the school's email address, the Woodland School one, we'll get back to you on that one because I don't deal with those laptops, but we will make sure we answer that question for you. It's a simple one for the new. Can you try to change the timetable layout to a simpler one for the new year 7 and others? Are you talking about the home learning timetable or timetables in general? I'm not sure about that one. Come back to me on that one. On Satchel, will it be on the homework tab or another tab? No, yeah, I think actually on Satchel it shows it as an assignment. Well, they refer to that as, they refer to home learning as assignment, so it will show on the assignment tab. Yes, if it's in hard copy, we will supply the materials. Sometimes in general, though, those the resources go on Satchel, and sometimes pupils choose to do their work then on the electronic version. But often teachers will give a hard copy as well. So that should be there. Very rarely is it just online. Timetables in general, we'll be looking at that moving forward, because actually, as I said, we've changed our system. So the printout of timetables might look a bit different come September anyway. So you might be more impressed with the new format. Keep asking questions if you've got any. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to mention. I think I've covered most of it. As I said, this is a consultation period, so we do welcome feedback. We are trialling it with year 7 and 8 over the next couple of weeks, and we will welcome, as I said, comments from pupils. We will meet again with pupils like we met at the start of this. We will meet with pupils again to get feedback. It's a bit of a hard gig selling home learning to them, but most of them, when we met with them before, did completely see the value of doing it. They might not necessarily have wanted to do it, but they did understand it was beneficial to them. And that's what we want pupils to see. We want them to see if they invest, they put that effort in, it will reap the rewards. They will find the benefits after. So that's what we're hoping to do. But again, we'd appreciate, as I said, feedback from parents as well, because we want to make this provision as effective for pupils as it possibly can be. And we do want to roll this out across to all other year groups come September. I think the questions seem to be slowing down. Who do we provide feedback? Like, provide it to me, and I will type my email address in the chat box now. So feel free to provide feedback to me, and I'll collate that. And then we will go for that. We will take on board, obviously, all the feedback that we get before we make the decision for September. So you can continue, as I said, to put questions. I'll probably hang on for a couple more minutes if there aren't any more questions. My email address is there, so if you have got questions after this presentation, I know it's quite a lot of information, please feel free to contact me. No, the homework doesn't have to be completed in one sitting. Obviously, depending on it, some of it will be on paper, some of it might be in their exercise books. The only thing I would say, if it's online, if they are pausing for dinner, we obviously want them to eat, just tell them to save it before they go for dinner, just in case there are any technical problems, but that should be absolutely fine. So as I said, continue to ask any questions if you've got any. We are seeing this as an exciting opportunity. As I said, we do want to make sure that we are really ensuring that our pupils have got the necessary skills that they need for success later on. Thank you, we appreciate that. As I said, homework is a bit of a hard gig to sell. However, we do know the benefit of it, so we will continue. If your child picks art as a homework, there will be as a GCSE, there will be. Well, a lot of the artwork is about creating their portfolios. I think they do a lot of research into different artist studies, and then they obviously create their own piece. So yeah, there is a lot of homework. There will be homework in all subjects, but yeah, art, building the portfolio, they will get homework there. I'm coming towards another question. Okay, so I'm now getting questions about Taste Today, which is fine. We look forward to seeing you on Taste Today. So what will happen on Taste Today is you'll come in, you will have an assembly with your new head of year. You often get arranged into groups, and then you get a taster really of all the different subjects at Woodlands. So you'll go and have different lessons from across our curriculum. We try to mix it up. So you might have some subjects that you haven't done before. So you might do some maths, some English, some science, some history. You might do some food technology, some art, some drama. So you'll just get a taste really for what life is like at Woodlands. And you also get to try the lunch, which is always very important. I'll stay on probably for one more minute. If there are any other questions regarding home learning, please let me know. Is it only going to be for years 8? So in terms of under the rapid and putting it on Satchel in the specific format, they are the ones trialling it. Home learning should still be being set for year 9 anyway, but as it currently stands in this kind of trial period, we haven't gone out with saying how much they need to do each week, how long each piece should take. So the teachers will continue to set homework for year 9, but it won't be as consistent as at the moment for year 7 and 8. But as I said, the plan is in September, it will be across all year groups. And what we'll do on the back of this is we'll look at the provision for pupils in September. The likelihood is, where our expectation is homework doesn't take more than 30 minutes in year 7 and 8, we might look to gradually increase that. So by the time they get to year 11, they're used to doing a bit more. But we foresee, obviously pending feedback, that is largely how it will look. And they might have a few more pieces in different subjects because they obviously do less options because they've picked their GCSE choices by that point. I think we're talking about GCSE options. Yeah, at the end in year 8, you do get the choice to pick your options for year 9. Obviously, there are set subjects that you have to study. So you have to study maths, English and science. And most people study a humanities subject and a language subject. And then you get to choose other subjects. That will continue, yeah. When are we going to receive our... I think this is the year 6 pupil. That will be dealt with when you come. So don't worry about that. They're often given to you on your first day here at Woodlands because you are lucky and you get to start a day before everyone else. So we deal with all of those problems then. So do not worry. We'll make sure you've got all of your logins and we look forward to seeing you then. So what sometimes takes over now. Well, what might happen with the maths homework is obviously maths get 2 pieces a week. So it might be that if they're setting the Sparks and it takes an hour, they're only going to set that one piece that equates to an hour, but it's kind of the 2 30 minutes together. So they won't get set any more than that. Because they've got 2 30 minutes piece, whatever they set, it won't be more than 60 minutes. I hope that makes sense. What am I looking at? I remember last week in the summer holidays, what type? You will do this. I'm not quite sure about when the last week of the summer. Depends on what type of homework is being set. I'm not quite sure what that one. We're not quite sure about what that question is. But again, if you're a pupil here and you've got questions, always come and find me. Can teachers make the homework less? With regards to how much homework, as I said, we've done a lot of research on this, and still our school at 30 minutes per piece, if they want to do it Monday to Friday and do 2 a night, that is still significantly less than what the government advise and what other schools do. So that is still less. And actually, if pupils are getting stressed with home learning, we want them to come to us so we can provide them to support to overcome that. What we don't want to do is say, right, well, we're not going to do it then, because that's actually going to cause more stress later on at GCSE when you have to do your revision and you're not in the routine of doing that. As I said, we appreciate that some pupils might find this tricky, might be a bit overwhelmed, but then they need to come and share that with us, and we will make sure the support is in place for them to overcome that issue, because we do want to make sure all of our pupils are well, but we want to give them the skills and the tools to overcome this, because what we don't want to do, and we do see this quite often, is get to year 11 and the stress is built up even more because they're not in the habit of doing it. We understand it's going to be difficult, and we're here to support pupils in doing that. I think with regards to the Sparks homework, obviously speak to Mr. Mihalau, who's our head of maths, email him if that's the case. I think providing as a parent, you know that they're spending the adequate amount of time, that might be a case of speaking to their maths teacher to see if we can provide any support to help them, because we want them to be successful. We certainly don't want them to be demotivated. So if there is an issue with Sparks at the moment, please contact either the maths teacher if you know who it is, or find their head of maths, Mr. Mihalau, on the website and contact him and just share that, and he'll be able to support you with that. Okay, so a few of you are asking me about selling Woodland School, and I'm not going to do that this evening because I know that's Mr. Wright likes doing that. That's his job, and I don't want to take his job. But what I would say is, I'm sure for people who are joining us in September, when they come, they'll come and see all the great things that go on here at Woodlands, and we look forward to seeing them there. We've got a range of different questions. We've got a range of different comments here, but I don't think there's too many questions. In terms of year 7 exams, most exams in year 7 are held in the classrooms rather than in the hall. So there will be assessments and there will be assessment weeks, but they will be done in lessons. So I'm going to conclude now. As I said, this is something that we're setting. We know that it's the right thing to do for our pupils. As I said, that's what the research says, that's what the Department of Education says, and that's what other schools are doing. That's what we believe here at Woodlands. We want to provide those educational choices here, opportunities here, for pupils, and we don't want to disadvantage them in any way. That is what we stand for here at Woodlands. That's what we will maintain, and that's our expectation of the pupils in our school community. And we really appreciate parents and their support. Obviously, we are working with you to ensure that actually your child's school experience is a positive one, and they leave with the qualifications that allow them to go on and be successful in later life. I'm going to close it there now, because I think most of the questions have kind of come to an end. I really appreciate pupils and parents' time this evening, logging on and listening to this. As I said, if you've got any questions, I have put my email address in the chat box. Please feel free to contact me. Thank you very much. Good evening.